we started discussing why it didn't sound good. And it was Joe and I, again, two crazy ham radio operators that figured out how to make that work. And we did. And I came back here, made some changes that he suggested, things that we both came up with, and bingo, this thing is amazing. And we're so excited about it. It's just a wonderful piece of technology. And again, here it is, somebody that listens and knows what to do. And it's really sad. We've lost that ability to listen. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, Mark, that's all we had to do was listen as we A-B'd things. Yeah, that sounds better. Today, it's all, what's the specs, or who's using it, or what did... Everybody forgot to listen. And it's why we've brought listening back to the floor, because that's what it's all about. Learn to listen and dissect what you are hearing. And we have a thing in our dealers, or a comparator. It's a headphone amplifier. It sits on a dealer's floor where you can plug in 8 microphones and just listen to each one of them. We don't care what brand it is, because they won't touch what we're doing today. We know that. We're not afraid to put it against anything. And then, of course, the guys will get into the condenser things. Condensers should never be used in a live situation. They're too sensitive. They pick up everything. And it's like, I don't know if it's ego or what it is. I have a condenser. Well, good for you, but what are you doing about picking up this stuff that's 30 feet away? And people don't think about that. They're not listening. But nobody's ever built a dynamic that would topple the sound of a condenser until Joe asked me to build that big diameter. And that big diameter element is what's doing it. And the PR-40 is just absolutely phenomenal. Overheads and broadcast, KMOX, CBS Radio, right here in St. Louis. They've got a whole bunch of them, and I could name you about, probably 100 to 200 other radio stations that use the PR-40. Probably about 800 that's moved to the PR-40, you being one of them.
Yeah.
And again, put it up against the big dogs. Put it up your favorite microphone that's been around forever. Put it up against that, and you will discover that the PR-40 will outperform it. And it's all new technology. That's the key, is it's not the same old stuff warmed over and built somewhere else. Yeah, I have parts built all over the world, but they're all shipped in here, stuff that I design, and we take them here in our, we have a very perfectly controlled humidity and temperature controlled warehouse. All these different parts from all over the world come in, and then we assemble them and test each and every microphone.
Well, one of the things I really like doing is every time I see you at either one of the NAM or NAB, you always have something interesting and new. You're kind of an endless tinkerer. I think you'd agree, and that's what really has brought us a lot of these great products.
Well, I'm constantly tinkering. My great late friend that just passed away, Les Paul, with Les last year, he reminded me that he and I share that particular thing. I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Tinkering, man. We like to tinker.
Never leave it alone.
never stay static."
Right.
And that's true. I'm always goofing around with something. We just came up with a new microphone element for the amateur radio guys after 2 years. However, it looks like it's going to move over into the production side for our new headset that I'm working on, and we're very excited about the HC6. And again, it's been a long time coming. I'm on the air, on the amateur radio airwaves each night, and a lot of people say, well, that is not the real thing. Well, yes, it is. It's much harder for me to cram 20,000 cycles into 3K. Think about that a minute.
Right.
The FCC says you will not transmit wider than 3K. Well, you try scrambling and putting 20,000 cycles into that 3K and sounding good. And that's what we do, and we learn a lot of things about how to do that. Then when I open it up so I can use it in a live situation or broadcasting, oh my. So we're coming up with that new one. And of course, the latest thing that I have, and it's now shipping, is the PR-781. This is a microphone that I built for amateur radio. I rolled the low end off a little harder, and I've got some real nice articulation in it. Articulation is golden for me. I don't want any equalization. You should not have any kind of an electronic fix for an acoustic screw-up. And so many of these microphones are strictly acoustic screw-ups. And so then you have to equalize them to sound good. Well, why should you do that? I want somebody to explain that to me. And I'm always amazed. I was out with Stevie quite a bit this year, and his front of the house guy called me up to look at the console, and they go up there. There's no EQ. There's probably 35 microphones on that stage. EQ was turned off. He's smiling, because you're not going to do that with other microphones. You have to equalize the crap out of them. So I was out with Sully Sullivan this summer, also with Sheryl Crow. He's got about 30 of the microphones and pointed down at the console. Big, glowing, off, off, off. No EQ on the entire band. None, except one, her wireless, which wasn't my capsule yet. And he had to EQ the crap out of it to make it sound equal to what the non-EQ'd Heil microphones were. It all starts at the microphone, Mark. It all starts at the microphone.
It does.
And if you listen and pay attention, the microphone should do it for you. You shouldn't have to try to fix anything with EQ, and that's what we've done. The PR-781 is a perfect example of what we've done there. But now what happened, and I didn't think about this, as I was all engrossed in bringing it to the ham radio side of our divisions, is the podcasters are getting hip to this. I absolutely, and I will say this publicly, I'll stand on the tallest point on the earth, I absolutely hate USB inputs. You should never, ever use USB inputs for audio. Never. I hope they get this point, Mark. Never. Oh, isn't it easy to plug it in there? No, because it doesn't sound good. And you have all this delay problem. So why not do it right? You go out and buy a little simple mixer. It's all you need. It doesn't have to be a $10,000 mixer. It can be a $50 one. You can say, oh, well, Heil, you're crazy. That thing won't sound good. You'll be surprised, because all we're doing is using it for a little preamp to get a couple of dB out of it, and that's it.
Right.
Okay. We come out of that preamp and go straight into the line input or mic input. Now we also have a wonderful headphone amplifier, real time. And boy, the PR-781 into a little mixing box into that, oh boy. And some of the computers have enough gain in their preamplifiers that you don't need anything. It'll work fine just the way it is. But a lot of times they're low in gain, and you just need a few dB to punch it up a little, and that's why you need this little box, and away you go. Works so good.
Well, I've used the 780 on my my Kenwood TS2000, and it works great. So
well, that is basically what we that had two elements in it. And I built that at the commission of Dr. Inoue, who owns ICOM Radio. He wanted me to build him a microphone for his new IC7800, which we helped with the audio section in that. And I built this PR-780 for that radio. But it had two elements. And I told him then, I said, with all of the filtering and all the DSP and equalization you have in your radio, you don't need but one. But he wanted the two. Well, what I did is I took that wide element, and that is the PR-781.